So rise and fall of poster childs की बात करते हैं. There are so many companies that we see in the last few years जो एकदम shot up. They've done good, but for some reason or the other, they've come crashing down also, right? That's the flip side of a startup, a high growth phase startup. तो what are so one is कि media trial बहुत होता है, right? जैसे हीरो बनता है कोई
टाइम मैगजीन
वैसे ही like everything goes wrong with that. Or beat the founder or the company, the culture.
30 under 30.
And then exit भी वैसे ही. So I want to understand, sir, media जो भी बोले, and I'm not saying कि we have to criticize the founder or a company, but look at what is coming in the media about Byju's. Now there is a fintech which is closing now. So many stories are coming in the last few years. So how does a investor look at it? Or if you want to talk about some stories.
Yeah. So 2-3 things. So you're right. I think this media hype is a cycle across industries. Like I was saying earlier, the tech industry has its own gyrations, which are much more than other industries. I think people like Elizabeth Holmes have been on the cover of Time magazine and all. So yeah, somehow you reach your zenith and then sort of you come down, right? So I think to some extent this will keep happening. And so it's not something that we should be surprised कि हो रहा है. Because
they're also building in public, right? In the sense,
it's not building in public because they get covered. Because what happens is as companies get a lot of funding, they get more and more media attention. And a lot of times people are not questioning, perhaps even in the media, what is the fundamental business model. And then as they get the funding, the business rubber band gets stretched, and then it kind of breaks. And then people say, oh, this company is not good and all. But I think that you can say whatever. I think first of all, even as a VC or as a media person, you know, the bolte na man in the arena. So founders do very difficult things. So it's very easy to criticize X and Y. But I'll tell you, for example, about the EdTech sector. So we've actually not yet taken an exposure. And from our perspective, there's a reason. Because we did companies like Pratilipy and others in content and other things. And when we started looking at EdTech 4-5 years ago, we had those benchmarks of those companies. You know, we said, what are the network effects? What is the retention? What is the engagement? And somehow that was not the conversation these companies presented in any meaningful way. That was not their internal KPI. It was more sales and increase the ticket size and sort of became a push product. Not any one company, I think the larger segment. And then if you ask around, like I would ask my friends, children and all who are all in this 8 to 12, like, you bought X company's package. Is he using it? There's no answer. So if so much money has been invested and the product is not being used, then if you go to the classic definition of product market fit, it breaks down. So you should have achieved that when you were valued at 20 million or 50 million. And maybe they did. But then they changed the business model, right? So then we said, at least for us, we don't understand it. Maybe we miss this sector or whatever, but we try to at least have some conviction or confidence when we pursue an opportunity. A lot of time, later on, we are also wrong. It's not that we know, but if we can't make any sense of it, then we don't. So we sort of avoided that sector. And now maybe it's easy for us to say that, but I'm just saying this is how we thought about it. So I think the issue is because certain companies became very, very valuable. So obviously they will draw a lot of attention. But yeah, I think their business model got very stretched and then it broke. So then it's more difficult for them. So, I mean, that will keep happening to some degree, but because of the zero interest rate phenomenon and all, that the vertical velocity of that climb was very steep. And the steeper you climb sometimes, then the fall is also steep, right? If you see other companies like, say, Zomato or others, they've also had their challenges, questions. But they sort of ridden through it. And look at them now, they're performing so well. and the market has accepted it, right? So there are yo-yos everywhere, but when it's very steep, then it gets very dangerous. So that's what it is. But ultimately, if you think about the venture industry, they make money only from these yo-yos. The periods of time when they actually cash out are only a fraction of the total sort of array of time, right? So that's the game.